Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fright Night Narratives podcast here. This one is going to just be solo for just me right now. Occasionally it would just be me, but I'm hoping to have a guest on there quite a bit. And this is for pretty much whoever for your fans of horror. And then I just wanted to just use this episode as like an introduction kind of episode, labeling my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. So this is an interesting one. For my 10th one, I made the list before I recorded this, and it was a pretty easy list to make. We're starting from 10 and up to my favorite spot at number 1. So, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but there is a movie a while back called I Know What You Did Last Summer. And, it was a franchise of that. They made 3 parts, I want to say, maybe 4, but I think it was 3. They made I Know What You Did Last Summer, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and we'll always know what you did last summer. So, that was pretty cool. I guess they kept, the same name, but they just changed it up quite a bit. I was debating between this and The Wrong Turn, with 3 fingers, so I didn't know exactly which one I wanted to put at the top of a number 10 spot to just an introductory spot, but I think this one takes it. And then, number 9, we have Saw. And which don't get me wrong, Saw was good. I loved all the Saw films. It just I don't know. It was fall. It just had number 9. I don't know. I just like the other ones better. The ones that's coming on this list. And but anyways, I mean to be honest, the Saw 10, Saw X, the last one they made, it was good. It was different, and I feel like it wasn't as enough torture as it was. But it was good. It was very good. My favorite will always probably be the first ever one. Number 5 was very good. Number 3, number 3 was good. But I don't know. It goes to the number 9 spot for now. And then number 8, we got to go with good old It. I'll probably have to say part 2 probably is the one that does it for me mostly. Don't get me wrong. I've seen the original one from way back. I actually had it on VHS. Wow, that makes me sound old, but so I grew up with it on the VHS tape. But yeah, I always liked Pennywise. I've always liked all of his, even especially the merchandise and the mask. I've always loved that kind of stuff. Speaking of mask, I feel like at least one person had this. Number 7 goes to Halloween, Michael Myers. So I know what you're going to probably think in your mind. You're putting Michael Myers down that low? Yes, I am sorry. It's got to be down there that low. I don't know. It just was. I don't know. It's going to get more controversial as it goes, so just a heads up there. But I mean, obviously, Halloween is, that movies was always some of my favorites of all time, except for Halloween Ends. Wow, that was so bad. I don't know why, but I hated that one. I mean, I feel like I know why I hated it, but I'm just saying, I just didn't like it. But the rest of the Halloween movies, absolutely loved. The Rob Zombie one was pretty alright. The H2O wasn't so good for me, but it's a number 7. I'm sorry. And then number 6 spots goes to Chucky. I remember actually watching Chucky for the very first time, and I think it was on, and I don't mean the TV series, by the way, don't get that confused. TV series it was okay. It just wasn't for me, honestly, though. But yeah, so number 6 goes to Chucky. I've always liked, again, that's one of my dream things to get. I don't have a Chucky doll. I've always wanted a Chucky doll. But I just never got one. I know it's, out there for like $100 or more. So that's the reason why I haven't got it, because I am not really wanting to spend that much on a Chucky doll yet. But yeah, it honestly, probably say, number 6 goes to Chucky. I mean, is it crazy to say that I put him over Michael Myers? Maybe, but, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Michael Myers, but I don't know. I just always like the original, especially the original Chucky and a little bit of the Bride, but, it has to go to Chucky, honestly. And, now is when we get to the most controversial spots. Number 5, this one right here, it has to go to it. I remember watching it for the very first time, and everybody's like, "Oh, you will always have nightmares over this," and yada yada yada. Shut up. I did not have no nightmares. This was Conjuring, is number 5. The Conjuring franchise was awesome. Honestly, they have the universe or whatever it was with like the first three Conjurings, and then Nun 1 and 2, and then all the Annabelles and all that stuff. They threw it all in one big universe. Which again, Annabelle was a very good one. I loved, and I liked the Nun. I feel like could have liked it more better, but it was good. It was really good. But no, yeah, it's definitely a good franchise for sure. With Ed and Lorraine, and then yeah, it was very good. And they're making a part four next year. Last rites. So I mean, it's probably the last one, unfortunately. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, part one was great. Part two, though, I know it's gonna sound very opinion of me, but part two, I personally did not like. I don't know why. I just was not a fan of part two. It's mostly, I don't know what it was. I think it was when they decided to just throw in like random people. When they started throwing in the Crooked Man and stuff, I was like, you know. But I mean, that was the only scene that I actually didn't like. But the rest of it was really good. Part three was very good. Part three, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, I think it was. I recently found that one recently, the DVD of it. I have almost all the Conjuring universes now. I know you can buy them in a pack and you can just have all at once. That's not the fun of it, because then you get to actually hunt for those different horror DVDs that you're missing. So, but yeah, it honestly has to go to that one for number five for sure to start off the top five. I was always a big fan of the franchise, and then this one again, it's gonna be super controversial for saying this. And just saying, this podcast is going to have a lot of controversial stuff going forward. Let's just say that. So for the number, oh, never mind. I'm skipping ahead of myself. Okay, for number four, I know what you're probably thinking. The first one, okay, I'm taking out the first one. I'm just saying from number two and on up, which I know number two hasn't been out that long for this movie. I'm going to have to go with number four over The Conjuring. I know it sounds insane. Terrifier. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. The Conjuring was good. Don't get me wrong. Michael Myers, Chucky, all these big franchise names. But Terrifier, Art the Clown, it was amazing. He blew me away whenever I remember watching Terrifier 2 for the first time. I think I looked away at like the bedroom scene, which I feel like everybody remembers that just by that word. But after watching like 5 times, I got used to it. I know, realistically, I watched about 4. Yeah, I don't know. Art the Clown has stuck to me. And when Terrifier 3 came out, oh, I was stoked. Oh, man, I was very stoked to see it. And when I finally got to see it in theaters, there was me and 2 people in the whole theaters, because I watched it in the daytime because I was busy the rest of the day. So that was the only day I had to watch it, and it was very good. Very, very good. And I won't really say too much because I don't know how many people has or hasn't saw it. But oh my, that was amazing. The only thing I'll say is everybody's talking about, oh, the chainsaw shower scene was the best one and yada yada yada. Like, yes, it was it was pretty brutal, but the mother scene has to be the most brutal out of all of it. With the mice and everything. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm gonna say. I ain't gonna spoil it no more. But yeah, that's what I'm going to give it as. And now this one. Number 3, again, with the controversial spots. This one's gonna make a couple people mad. So I was shuffling between for the number 3 spot between Freddy Krueger for Nightmare on Elm Street and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I knew I had to pick one because I'm already at number 3 spot right now out of the top 10, and I didn't put the other ones down below there. But I'm going to say number 3, in my opinion, belongs to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know that sounds pretty insane, but I'm glad to say, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Freddy Krueger. I loved all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, including Freddy vs. Jason. I cannot tell you how many times I watched Freddy vs. Jason. I love that movie. It was very good. It was pretty much like the way that the fight scenes was good. I just, and then there's a classic scene where Jason's running out with the out of the cornfield with the flame and throwing it through that kid's face or before whatever he threw it to or stomach, I think it was. I don't remember, but yeah, it was very good. But I'm just I loved Leatherface. I'm sorry, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I remember watching the very first one. I was like, okay, this ain't too bad. Then I watched the second one. I was like, okay, this is actually very good. And then I remember it just went from there, honestly. And yeah, it just kind of went from there. I liked the third one was all right, but then after that, I loved almost every single one. The rest of them. The Netflix one, when they decided to return on Netflix, it was good. I just feel like the older ones is better because I mean I think like any kind of horror movie in my opinion. But yeah, it honestly has to go to that one for sure. For sure, has to go to that one. But yeah, so number three has to go to Texas Chainsaw. Yeah, I don't know. I always liked it. The best one though was I can't remember which number it is. But it was very very good. It was the first one on 3D, I think. It was pretty much. I'm going to look back at it and actually hang on just a second. Let me look back at this. Okay, so the best one in my opinion though was the 2003 one. But then it goes to the 2013 one, which is Texas Chainsaw in 3D. It was one of the very first ones I think in 3D. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw from 2003 and the 2013 one. That was probably my favorite ones, honestly. But yeah, it was very good. And I just liked everything about it, and I just liked that, they always actually, just about to escape, and then each time they end up going back there, and then, it's just creepy. Like, just imagine seeing that guy running at you with that kind of mental problems and stuff. Like, I liked it. It was very good. It was very, very good. And then, here, oh boy. So this is the top three right now. We got Texas Chainsaw at 3. This second one, it honestly has to be, it has to be up there. If this ain't up there, then y'all have every right to call me insane. So number 2 spot has to go to Scream. I just feel like it has to. Number 2 is perfect spot for it, I feel like, because I have my personal favorite reasons for number 1. But number 2 spots go to Scream, honestly. With Ghostface, and it's very good. It was always very good to me. And I loved the very first one, and then went all through there. And I feel like I want to say number 4 was my favorite, but I don't know. Number 2 is very good. So, but I'm not sure. All the rest of the newer ones has been very good too, ever since, the new cast we had and everything now with, David Arquette, David Arquette's been there for a while, but like with Jenna Ortega and different ones, it's been very good. It's been very good. But I feel like all the older ones just always tops it. But the last Scream movie that was made, the last Scream movie was good. And I feel like we're not over yet. That says, and actually it was posted 2026. They posted that we're getting a new Scream movie, and I can't wait that long. But apparently, from what I saw, they posted about it. I reposted, and I looked back and I said, wait a second, did I say what I thought it said? And it was 2026, unfortunately. So, we got a new Scream movie in 2026. If y'all don't know that already, now you do. But yeah, Scream has been always one of my favorite franchises. I've always had the mask. I feel like everybody at least once has had that mask with the little blood thing with it. I remember having that as a kid. That was very cool. I still got one of my Ghostface masks from a long time ago. I still got it somehow. You can tell because it's faded out. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, so that was probably at my number 2 spot. And for number 1, and I'm sure you're thinking, well, there's something missing. What are we missing from this? Well, this was probably my personal favorite of all time, and like, it's getting to the point where it's getting kind of stale now from how many times I've watched it. But I mean, it can't escape my number 1 spot. It will always be for everyone's spot. It will have to be Friday the 13th. And I know that this is going to sound, everybody's like, oh, well, Jason, he's always, going to be Friday 13th is this and that. There's the date on the calendar. Everybody's looking forward to Friday the 13th and all that stuff. Like, I know it's, overused, I guess you could say. But I can't help it. It's always been up there, number 1 spot for me. I've always loved it growing up. And it's always there. I that was actually funny enough. That was actually one of my very first horror movies I've ever watched. I feel like it wasn't the best horror movie to get me started on, but it was very good. I loved it. I loved it whenever I first got it on DVD and everything. I remember watching it and I was like, oh, this is very cool. So then I tried to collect all the rest of them, and then stuff like that. And I remember when it was actually on Peacock, and it was on marathons and stuff, all kinds of different things. It's probably on more things than just Peacock now. But yeah, it was everywhere, and I remember it's like, oh, this is cool. But yeah, Friday the 13th Part One was not good at all, in my opinion, because it's mostly focused around this. I mean, it was good, but it just didn't stick with me like the rest of them did. Part two is when we first got started. I was like, okay, yeah, this is what we're getting now. But yeah, part two, and so forth. My favorite one forever will always be Jason Lives. I think that's part five, but I can't remember. But Jason Lives has got to be my favorite one of all of them. And then we have the girl that had the psychic powers and everything. It was good. I just felt like throwing in those kind of powers was weird, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, but Jason Lives was always my favorite when he rises from the grave. And, Jason lived. And I feel like the way they kill, like, I don't really know why. Like, after the 2009, it was good. Like, when, yeah, so the 2009 Jason, it was good. It just wasn't the same feel, if that makes any sense. But I mean, I very enjoyed it a lot, but it wasn't, it didn't stick with me at all. And then, I mean, the ending was, I guess, kind of cool, where he fell back into the lake and everything. But it was good. But yeah, Jason Lives. All the earlier ones of Friday the 13th would always be my personal favorites. Different ones like that. And then some honorable mentions for Halloween slash horror movies. Movies will be probably like, this is going to sound the same to say, but Puppet Master. I feel like it wasn't that bad. Puppet Master was decent. But honestly, I loved Cabin Fever. I don't know why I always liked it. Funny enough, found out I didn't know Cabin Fever existed until this band Ice Nine Kills is actually a Halloween horror based band. They sing almost every one of their songs is based on a horror movie. So they had Rockin' the Boat, which is based on Jaws. They had It Is the End, which is it. They had Assault Matters, which is based off of Chucky. Thank God It's Friday. Stabbing in the Dark. All kinds of different ones. The Jig Is Up. And they had a song called The Rash Decision, which, if y'all don't know what Cabin Fever is about, it is about death eating flesh. Like, it's a flesh virus that people got during that. And there's a kid that likes to go up to you and bite you. It was so strange. But yeah, so eventually all these people, they eventually caught this virus that was flesh eating and everything. And then it was like, I think it's like the more you itch, it's like the more deeper it goes to your skin or something like that. So that would definitely be a terrifying disease if it was real. But yeah, it was very cool. I liked the movie a lot. It just didn't go in my top 10. And same thing for, but yeah, that's how I found out about that movie. And then same thing for, The Town That Dreaded Sunrise. I loved the original one from 1970, whatever it was. That movie was very good. I was very into that movie. But I mean, I couldn't put it over I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like, I've always liked that one. I don't know why, but I've always liked I Know What You Did Last Summer. And just that franchise had to go on my top, on number 10. Is it crazy to say that I put that over Nightmare on Elm Street? Maybe. I mean, after the fourth Nightmare on Elm Street, I kind of just said, oh well. I don't know. But yeah, whenever I loved Jason, and whenever I found out that Freddy versus Jason came out the year I was born, so I was like, oh shoot, this is awesome. So the way they did everything was pretty cool, and everybody was saying that there's a wrestler, Rey Mysterio. Everybody was saying that he was like apparently the stunt actor for Freddy in that movie, and he clarified recently in a Chris Van Vliet interview, which is also a great podcast. Y'all should go listen to that one as well. after you listen to this. But yeah, Rey Mysterio clarified that it wasn't him. But anyways, yeah, all those is great franchises. And then obviously you can say, Beetlejuice is a Halloween. It's a Halloween movie. It's not a horror movie in my opinion, but it's a Halloween movie. And different ones like that. Like I've always liked different Halloween movies. Like a good Halloween movie, like Halloween Town was. It was good growing up. It was pretty good growing up. We had Jaws, which was all right. Yeah, that's it. It was all right. Um, and different ones like that. It just goes from there. Um, and yeah, just different honorable mentions like that. And like I said, the Wrong Turn was very good. And obviously, the Final Destination is classified under horror. I, I don't know how I feel about it being called that. I don't consider it as horror because I don't. I mean, I guess it's scary, that they have death haunting them and stuff. But I loved all the Final Destination movies, which I was gonna put on the list. Don't get me wrong, I was going to, but I figured it might rub people the wrong way putting that on a horror list. I don't know. But I've always Part Three was my personal favorite Final Destination movie of all time. That was that was my personal favorite, and I mean, the very last Final Destination, I feel like was very cool because we had, it was ball came back full circle. We had all these things come up, and then everybody was doing this and that. At the end of Part Six, and the reason why I'm saying this and that is because there's so much going on, or not Part Six, Part Five, and the very last one. We had so much happening, and then it all came back full circle because it all came to the plane crashed from part one, and I was like, oh, okay, that was a mind fuck. I was like, what? But oh yeah, that's my occasion. There's some languages. Just I should have said that at the beginning, but yeah, it was very good, and I remember watching. I think it was part five. I remember we're kind of trying to keep, well, not part five, part four. It was kind of very difficult, a little hard to keep up with that, but it was a good one. It was very good. But yeah, those was all my honorable mentions that that belongs to that list. I feel like that I like that I couldn't put on my top 10 because obviously I liked it one better, and stuff like that, and which again also Pet Cemetery. The first two, in my opinion, well, first three in my opinion. It can go up there, but not on my list. But it's one of my favorites for sure. I liked part two again. Maybe some old, but I had part two on the VCR tape. I still got it somewhere. So those are the only two horror movies I actually had on VCR tape. Oh, and I had Texas Chainsaw as well, the 2003 one. But yeah, so those honestly was my favorite ones growing up as well. Like I said, I was raised like that. Then I found out like random terrible horror movies. Which, I mean, that's for another time to make a top 10 worst horror movies of all time. Which, call me crazy, but A House of a Thousand Corpses was probably one of the worst. It was good and it was funny, but in horror wise, it was probably the worst ones ever. Next to Jeepers Creepers. I mean, Jeepers Creepers was good, but it just wasn't it, in my opinion. I don't know. I just didn't like it. Like, it was alright. Same thing for there's a movie called Hostel, part one and two of Hostel. It was I don't know, again, like it wasn't that great. And I mean half of it was just, there to show off random sex scenes. Like I don't know why. I better be careful saying stuff on YouTube. But it was just I don't know, it wasn't that great. Like it had some decent moments, they had a woman's eye getting sawed out and like her flesh was like falling off with her eye or something like that. And he was trying to protect her and she ends up, what's the word for it? I don't really want to say suicide on YouTube. But she she unalives herself. After him saving her the whole entire thing, she jumps in front of a train and just splatters everywhere. Like, no, why would you do that? But I mean, it was good. Part one was good. Part two was terrible. But there's some pretty terrible ones out there. I've seen some pretty terrible ones. There was one I watched not too long ago. I seen it pop up, and I was just had to check it out. Terrible. I watched it all the way through to see if it gets any better. It didn't. I don't remember what it was, but it was awful. If I remember it, it might pop in my brain eventually, but it probably won't. But it was terrible. And like The Hills Have Eyes. I like that. The Hills Have Eyes was pretty good. Like I said, the wrong term with three fingers or four fingers. I meant. Um, so it was like I said. That was very tempting to put that over. I know what you did last summer, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But it was very good. I remember watching the very first one was good. I was like, oh okay, and then watching it. Part two is my favorite. But I remember watching it and I was like, okay, this is cool. I don't know. I like the little guy with the hat. Well, obviously four fingers and or was it three fingers? I can't remember his name. That's terrible. That is terrible. But I remember watching. I was like, okay, this is cool. This is interesting. It's different. It's different. um, but no, it was very good. And like I said, there's Iceland Kills. They mostly. I remember watching it because I loved metal music. And like obviously Rob Zombie's Dracula. That's how I found out about House of a Thousand Corpse. And like different ones like that and stuff. And like so Iceland Kills, they got me into a lot of horror movies that I didn't know about before. Like there was a couple of them, like Candyman. I liked Candyman quite a bit, and I actually didn't fully to know that until obviously I think my dad, but also because of Iceland Kills. They have a song. They have a song called oh, it'll come to me here just a second. Farewell Flesh. Farewell Flesh, that's what it was. Two. Farewell Flesh 2. Off of the Horrorwood album, Silver Scream 2. That album was awesome. But yeah, it was it was a very good song I heard on that one, and it was very good. And different ones, like I said, different ones by them, like Rainy Day. I already knew about Resident Evil movies, but Rainy Day was like, okay, that's cool. And different ones like that and stuff. And then there's early days ones that I've watched in the past that I found on various streaming platforms and stuff, such as American Psycho. I can't think of the top of my head. Oh, Silent Night, Deadly Night. I will say I actually kind of liked it. Up to like two. Okay, I like the first two. I'm sorry. I like the first two. So and I actually got a canvas of Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 on my wall here. It was a canvas poster I found of it. It was very cool. It fell twice now. I think it broke the thumbtack somehow. And there's some movies that I refuse to watch again, and I mean, mostly because as a child, I guess, or like growing up, different ones, was either terrible or I just physically. I mean, when I was growing up, certain movies was like Conjuring and stuff was scary to me. Then I was after I got older, I was like, oh, this ain't scary. Oh, this looks very good. But I remember making the mistake of watching the movie Hereditary. At 2 a.m. or like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I don't remember what it was, but I just couldn't sleep. And I was like, you know what? I've actually never watched this movie yet. I'm going to check this out. Wow, that movie hooked me up for life. That movie was. I watched it once, and I watched half of it. I tried watching it again. I was like, okay, I'm stronger now. Nope. I don't know why that movie was. That movie was something else. With just a bunch of scenes that happened, and I've been told that I don't know how you pronounce it. I want to say Seminar. It came out like I don't remember what 2019 I think it is 2018. I heard that movie was pretty. I heard that movie was pretty out there. And heard that movie was interesting. I watched the trailer of it and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's something. Which I mean, I'm not all into that cult stuff, but just the movie in general, from what I heard and from what I seen in the trailer, I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't know about that one because I had somebody recommend that to me. And it's like, yeah, never watched this when they named that name. Then I was like, oh, okay, let me see the trailer at least. I'm like, okay, yeah, that explains it. But I mean, other than those though, like I feel like any other movie that I've watched in the past was like, oh, it might have been a little scary, but not bad at all. Like there was a movie came out earlier this year called The Watchers. I ended up watching it with somebody in July, I think it was. It came out in June or July. And it was very good. I came into like the trailer looked pretty alright, and I came into it and coming out it was very good. It was I don't really know how you describe it really. It was basically this. So it was these old lady, and then it was like a couple other people, and then this woman, this girl, this girl, she was like, I think she had like a pet bird, and she was just, going into this abandoned forest, and like she was getting chased by these creatures and stuff, which is the Watchers. And she was, getting chased by these, and then I think one of them died, and then they kept going and stuff, and then ended up they got to thought they was safe finally. Ended up the old lady that was protecting them the whole time. Okay, I know it's gonna be a spoiler for those who haven't saw it yet, but she ended up being the killer. She ended up being a shapeshifter. She was a Watcher the whole entire time. And but yeah, that was a big plot twist. And it was something, speaking of which, I think, yeah, November's next month, which is also during Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving, that horror movie was awesome. I remember watching it, it was like a day or two after it came out in the theaters, and oh man, it was awesome. I didn't know what I was expecting going into it. I was expecting, it might be alright. It might end up like a weird indie film. But dude, that was great. Thanksgiving, the horror movie, it was awesome. It was very good. I liked it a lot. Like I said, there was, it was a big Black Friday, and then the woman gets her hair stuck in the shopping cart and somehow rips flesh off of her top of her head. And I remember watching it. I was like, oh, this is awesome. By the time I left, and they left us on a cliffhanger. Somehow he ended up becoming he was dressed up as a firefighter, and then he was still alive. Oh, dude. Part 2 has got to come out this year. Oh, they got to make... I didn't hear anything about no Part 2 coming out this year. But if it does, dude, I'm going to be there whenever it happens. But yeah, I feel like that's about all I wanted to really talk about in this one. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to try to have some guests on the next episode or two, or hopefully more. I'm going to try to reach out and stuff. I might post a poll on my Instagram and let everybody vote, whoever wants to join. And stuff like that, and it has a good horror knowledge, and I can hear their point of view, and we can conversate and stuff. So I feel like this would be pretty good for the podcast. Like I said, it might come out a little bit before Halloween. I don't know. I want to post on Halloween. It might come out a little bit before though, so we'll see how that all goes. But if not, then you're probably watching this on Halloween. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about this one. And so now you get, a big controversial opinion about mine. And, I feel like I have a list that is very weird, like people would not agree with. But, that's the beauty of it. You have your own opinion, and don't let other people, talk about that. I don't know. But those was my personal favorite horror movies, and some of my worst horror movies that I was mentioning. And like I said, Ice Nine Kills was a big metal genre that actually, got me into quite a bit of horror movies that I didn't know about before. Like The Box, I knew about Hellraiser, but I didn't know it until The Box came out, the song, The Box. I was like, oh, okay, this sounds amazing. And then I was like, because I think some of the lyrics, I forgot how it came. It was like, I don't remember how it was. Like, they have a song, Ex Mortis, which is based on, I think Ex Mortis, I want to say was based on Evil Dead. I think it was Evil Dead or Tremors. I can't remember which one it was. But, and like I said, They Live was mostly because I wanted to watch it because of Rowdy Piper. And I ended up being pretty decent. And different stuff like that. And Tremors was good. But, yeah, so they opened me up to big ones. And I can't remember what the lyrics was. But I remember hearing it. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I can't remember how it went. I think it was like something on the lines of, it was like, the priest of hell, master of sin, bowed to the needles and pins, I think it was, or something like that. Let me pull up the lyrics really quick. Yeah, so we got, then, because the puzzles and pieces begin, so drive me to hell and master and sin, or something like that. And I was like, okay, puzzles and everything. Then I realized, and then I kept on, hearing the rest of it. And then I was like, oh, okay. I remember they had like a really good breakdown during it. It's like the sinner is the absent of heart, all you do command to tear your soul apart. And I remember I was like, oh, that breakdown was good. But yeah, I was on there, and I was thought when I heard puzzles and everything, I was like, what is it? Then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it's based on Hellraiser. I was like, okay, that's cool. Then I watched it for the very first time, like, okay, this ain't bad. Yeah, that was some of my favorite personal movies that I liked the best. And like I said, hopefully I can have a guest on the next couple of them and everything. And occasionally I'll probably drop in for some solo ones again like this. And stuff like that. But yeah, this was the Fright Night Narratives podcast. I hope y'all enjoy it. Hope to see y'all on the next one.